guys, it's Wahima, but just call me Wah. Melanated! Welcome to my recap of 90 Day Fiancé Season 8, Episode 1, I Think You're My Future Wife. Oh my god, guys, what a premiere. If you guys want to watch my recaps for this entire season, I'm excited for it after this first episode. Please go on ahead and subscribe to my channel. I noticed that most of you guys who watch my videos aren't actually subscribed, and you will get notified from YouTube, hopefully, YouTube, when I post a video. So go on ahead and click that notification button and give this video a thumbs up. Join the Melanated Nation. Is that somebody else's group? Everybody's melanated, right? Except for, I think, people who do not have any pigment in their skin. I guess people with albinism. All right, well, you know what I'm saying? Just like subscribe or whatever, and like, you know what I'm saying? Join the Just Call Me Wah family. This episode was really great. I mean, whoever the producer is of Julia and Brandon's storyline, God bless you. I mean, you were given a gift and you peeled that gift open like an onion, but like a good smelling onion. You know what I'm saying? Like one that doesn't make you cry. And you gave us Betty. I don't know if that's her name, but like that's what I'm gonna call her until I figure out what her real name is. Okay, this episode starts off with, oh girl, Natalie crying. On the screen it says, 1 day till wedding, Natalie's crying. It looks like she's self-filming, and she's saying that Mike is a monster and she doesn't know why he would do this to her. And girl, it was just like, bleh, like, of all the couples to talk about first. So let's just go ahead and quickly talk about them so we can get into the good couples, okay? So first couple that we're gonna talk about is Mike and Natalie. In this episode, I mean, tensions are high with these two. It's like, why are they together? Mike has been back in the US for about 3 weeks, and him and Natalie's relationship is on the rocks because in front of the producers, she couldn't say whether or not she was in love with him or loved him, which is like crazy because you spent so much time with this person. At least you should love them. I can see if you're not in love with him, but like you don't love Mike after all the stuff that he's done for you, and like you don't have no love for that dude? That is crazy. I mean, maybe we're lost in translation a little bit, but why is Natalie with Mike? Mike does not live up to any of her standards, and she is just trying to fit a square through a peg hole. Is that how you say that? But she's just trying to make it work, girl. Stop trying to make fetch work, and then you just end up making yourself look like a monster. Mike is back home in Squim, and he's on his farm. He's got Uncle Bo there, and they're having a hee-haw good time, you know, on this plot of land. And he says the only thing that he's missing is a wife and children. And he's hoping to have that with Natalie, but honestly, he just doesn't know. So Natalie gives him a call as he's driving around in the rain. I went to the embassy, and guess what happens? And Mike is like, yes, you guessed it. I've got my visa. You know, only problem is that I need to come to America in 20 days. And Mike is like, 20 days? That is soon. And I'm like, this is not soon. That's a little more than half a month. Like, that's not soon. Like, that's a good amount of time to get your ticket and then fly to the US for 90 days. Like, that's... And then she's like, you're not excited? And he's like, I am excited. She's like, oh, you don't seem excited. I mean, he's not excited, okay? I don't know if he has to pay for the ticket. You know that Mike is in debt, right? Like that he's got a little issue with money. So I don't know if he's come out of his debt. I don't know what Mike is worried about. Later on, it's revealed when he's getting his haircut from like a Fantastic Sam's that he's just really feeling kind of weird because she wasn't able to say that she loved him on camera in front of everybody. And I absolutely understand where he's coming from, and I would absolutely feel weird too. Mike then has a conversation with her in his living room on his TV while he's got the fire crackling, and I was like, I hope his house is clean, because like, if anything, I would be on her side if she was worried about whether or not the house was going to be clean. But then she says something crazy. She says, is Uncle Bo gonna be there? And he's like, yes, Uncle Bo lives here. And she's like, well, I don't want to live in the house with stranger. And he's like, I can't tell Bo that he can't live here. Like, he's my uncle, he's family, he lives here. He's not here right now because he's with his kids, but like, what? And she's like, I don't know why you think, Mike, that I would stay there. I was taken aback. And at that point, if I were Mike, I would have been like, you gotta go. Like, why are you, what? And then she's like, are you going to be nice to me? And she's like, yeah, why wouldn't I be nice to you? Promise. I just am done with Natalie. Like, I am done with her tears. I'm done with her making Mike feel bad about everything. Like, she picked the wrong American. So let's move on. So the next couple that we're going to talk about, which is a brand new couple, is Julia and Brandon. Oh my God. Okay, you guys. So Brandon's parents have fully signed on to be in this show, and it is exactly what we needed. It is exactly what we've always wanted. So Brandon is 27 years old. He lives in Virginia on a farm with his parents who breed dogs, and they also have animals. I don't know what they do with the animals, but they have the business of breeding the dogs. And so every morning he gets up to help his family with the farm, and then he goes to his job, which he does pest control, and he's so exhilarated by killing roaches. I was eating while I was watching this, and then they showed the roach and I was upset. Then they showed the like spider egg sacs and I was like, why TLC? We get it. So Brandon's relatively happy with his existence, living with his parents. He is basically the only child. He is his mother's only child, but his father's fifth kid. His father has been married a few times, he said, but I'm gonna go ahead and guess that he's been married twice before, and Betty is his third wife. I cannot tell how old they are, but I know that he is at least 10 years older than Betty, and I can't, like, it's hard for me to tell how old women who don't do all the things are. She could be 50 or she could be 65. Like, I have no idea. Okay, so I was trying to do the math, and I was like, if she had him when she was like 40, for example, and he's 27, she would be like 67. That seems a little old for her, but it's her hair. She's giving me like Barbara Bush tease. Like, she's giving me like Call the Midwife curls. Like, it's just, I don't know. Does she put rollers on at night? Is that the natural state of her hair? Does she have some kind of like perm? I don't know what's going on. I can't tell how old she is, but she literally took her face and put it on Brandon's. Brandon's this like little sweet guy who just like, you know, might be gay. And so his parents put him on farmersonly.com in order to get him jump started into dating a girl. He's never really had a girlfriend, but then he had a friend, again, this story is weird, who FaceTimed him with Julia, and he fell in love with Julia, then text messaged her later on that night talking about, I think you're my future wife. And then he spent too much money on her. And he's just one of those people, like, I've discovered that there are people in this world who like don't emote, and they are often like weirded out when people emote towards them. It's kind of like Ethan from Welcome to Plathville. Like, it's just like their existence is very like, oh, I'm sad about that. I'll just put that feeling over here and go play with the llamas. I'll go play with our horses. It's like, it's just like, is it all people who grew up on farms? Maybe it's like when you don't have like parents who are like emotionally abusive, so you don't actually get the gambit of like strong emotions. Or maybe you just have parents who like don't have to struggle for money, so like they're never just angry at you for no reason, and they're never just like forcing you to eat food that you don't like. I can't imagine Betty being mad at him, and that just goes along with everything. This is his third wife, you know what I'm saying? He's trying to make it work. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what the feel that his family is giving me. Okay, they're even sitting in a confessional together, and he's sitting in the middle, and Betty's talking about how she's like wanting her way all the time, and what they should be on is I married a mama's boy, or I love a mama's boy, or whatever that is, because that's exactly what's going on. They're a little further along in their relationship with Julia. The parents have gone to France to meet Julia and her family. Julia and her family came over from Russia, so he's gone over to Russia to visit her. He paid for that. Then he's gone to Iceland with her. He paid for that. So he has paid for everything and sunk a lot of his money, and he's kind of in debt after dealing with Julia because he like tried to be this knight in shining armor, and he's also not really good at explaining things. So they're gonna have a lot of friction because he's like a George, you know what I'm saying? He's like a Jorge, where like he just rather not tell you the bad news and just have it come upon you. And then when you explode on him, he's like, why are you mad? I was just trying to save you from being upset to begin with. And you're just like, if you just told me the truth, like everything would be okay. Apparently Julia has gotten a little crazy with him while they were in France in front of his parents, and his parents were kind of taken aback. And I'm pretty sure her family was like, this par for the course, like we Russian, we share our opinion. You know, we know what it's like to be in a bread line. You know, we sometimes like, you know, he's not used to that. We find out during their segment that Betty is absolutely crazy, which is so amazing. She has decided to call a gynecologist to get Julia on birth control. When she found out that they weren't using protection or being careful at all, I mean, her and the dad were a little like shooketh, okay? They were shookington. And he's just like, He knows that Julia moving to the US believes that they're only gonna spend like a couple of weeks, maybe a month with his parents, but actually what's gonna happen is they're just gonna live there until they can afford to buy a house, which who knows how long that will be. He's got a lot of explaining to do to Julia, and his parents are trying to get him to tell her. First of all, they're not sleeping in the same bed in their house. Like the parents are like, no, we're not doing this. He's like, I'm 27. And she's like, no, you actually look 17. So you're my 17-year-old son. You two are sharing separate bedrooms. So they're getting the house ready, and the dad finds out that Brandon hasn't even told Julia that they're gonna be sleeping in separate bedrooms, and Dad's like, no. Listen, I've had 3 wives, okay? I've had 3 wives. Let me tell you, son, you need to tell her. Call her right now and tell her. And then he's like, I don't want her to not come. And I'm like, girl, if she not comes, what? What did I say? If she not comes? If she doesn't come because you guys have to sleep in separate bedrooms, then like she's not the person for you. And even the producer was like, do you think that Julia's the person made for you? He's like, I don't know if she's made for me, but she's like who I like right now. If I didn't pay for the K1 visa and didn't go through this process, like I would have had to walk away from this relationship because I can't spend any more money flying to Russia. And I'm just like, that seems like such an awesome reason to bring somebody over to the States and get married to them. You needed to just get on farmersonly.com and find you a little sweet woman who was gonna be in love with your mother and who your mother's gonna be able to get along with. Like, this is a friction from the jump, and I'm here for it. I don't know, I just feel like Brandon lost his virginity to Julia. She gave him a little wet, and he just lost his mind, is what it feels like. No? Julia's coming in, and they hop in the car to go pick up Julia. And when I say they, I mean the parents and Brandon. Because when Brandon said, I'm gonna go pick up Julia in DC, they were like, no! Betty's like, no, I have to go too. I wanna be there. I wanna welcome her to the US of A. And he's like, okay. And I'm like, no, Brandon, say no. I guess my mom is envisioning her being there, so I guess we're all gonna go. I'm like, oh no, oh no, oh no. They all hop in the car. Mom is very excited about this trip. This is just me, but it's really weird to me that Brandon is not driving. It feels like he is a 13-year-old sitting in the back seat while his parents drive him 2 hours to DC to pick up his fiance. They're in the front, like being parents, and he's sitting in the back seat, which at some point looks like cross-legged, or at least with his leg up, playing a video game on his phone. And his mother's like, oh, he's in the back seat playing this video gamey ways. And he's just like, stop talking about me, Mom. Like, it's just like this weird, that's not even his voice. Stop talking about me, Mom. Then he hears her on the phone with the gynecologist trying to figure out how to get Julia on birth control. Yeah. And he just sits in the back seat and is just like rolling his eyes and making faces, but says nothing. At least that we saw on camera. Says nothing to her. And she's so happy because she's gotten in contact with the gynecologist. They're going to try to shove birth control down her throat. How they're going to get it into her, I don't know. They're going to put it in her food. You know how many women I know who don't take birth control because they don't want that in their body? Am I excited for this couple? Yes, I am. So let's move on to this next couple. We're going to talk about Javi and Yaza. Oh, the drama with these two. So I was wrong about Javi. He just wasn't on a walkabout as a privileged individual. He works on a boat. He is an underwater robotics person. He is a Cajun boy. And for whatever reason, I just like Cajun people, for whatever reason, I thought that they were black, but it's not. I think it's Creole. So it's like Creoles and then Cajuns. So the Cajuns are the white Creoles, so they just like spice and shrimp in boats. Was Forrest Gump Creole? I don't know, girl. But anyways, he's okay. You know what I'm saying? He's not ugly. But he met Yaza because while he's on the boat, he works 4 weeks on the boat and then he gets 4 weeks off. And so sometimes like when they're on the boat, they're in different places in the world because he's a shrimping boater. He's on a shrimp boat. And he would go on the land and like hang out, which is like so cool, And he says that he's learned a lot. Good for him. A boy from the bayou, being able to like see the world and like take in other cultures. It's wonderful. So on one of those trips, he opened up an app and he met Yaza, and like everywhere they would go, show, he, I guess, would pay for it, and they've been all over together. Every time he would have off, they would just hang out and go on vacation, and they got pregnant. And then, as I said before in my other video, she lost the baby, but they chose to go forward with it. And he talks about how Yada is a girly girl. And this is a prime example of guys like Jovi, like just being 100% of a time waster. Like, he knows that he is not ready to be married. His mother knows he's not ready to be married. His best friend and his best friend's wife and that baby knows that he's not ready to be married. This man is like talking about like if afterward he could just go out and drink, but she's like, no, when you have a wife, like you can't do that. And he's like, why? I'm just like, and he moved to New Orleans because he wanted to have a good time and party and such. And I just like feel like this is an absolute train wreck. And literally every time we see him in his apartment, he's either drinking a beer or he's leaving with a red Solo cup. And it is, I'm just like, wow, the drink is strong in this one. And he makes it seem like it's culture, that like growing up, they would just like hang out on the bayou and drink. And every time he's on a boat, he's drinking. It just feels like it isn't the right move for a man who wants to be married. And I guess he feels like he's kind of taking control of the situation, because initially he was going to bring Yada over because she was pregnant and he felt like it was the right thing to do. But then when she lost the baby, he still was like, I don't have to do this, but I guess I still want to. And she had to tell him to bring flowers, and he's like, I've never brought flowers to a girl. And I just think, you've never gotten flowers for a girl? And now you're getting married? I don't know that this is right. We're just gonna watch them fight. Like, literally, that's what their thing is. We're just gonna watch them fight. And so we have to just settle into that and know that that's what's gonna happen, okay? Just settle into it. Just settle into it, everybody. We're just gonna watch them fight. I do love their accent. It's so subtle. Like, it isn't a crazy Southern twang, but it's like this lilt that I'm just so interested in, because I don't know that I've ever heard it really. I'm interested in seeing like Louisiana things, you know what I'm saying? So she gets off the plane and after a 30-hour flight, and she says it's because he's cheap. So I guess he paid for like a flight where she got off in here and did all kinds of roundabout in order to get to Louisiana. And he thinks they're just gonna get dressed and go party. And she's like, no, I'm really tired. And so he's bummed out and makes it seem like she's ruined his night. And I'm like, I don't know why you thought she would just want to get out and go party. Like, she just packed up her whole life and moved to the US. Oh, and Yara is a whole piece of work, girl. She's like, Jovi's cool. Like, her whole attitude in the confessionals is giving me life. She's like, my name is Yara. I guess I like him. All right. So the next couple that we're going to talk about is Rebecca and Zeead. All right. So Zeead is going for his interview to get his K1 visa, and Rebecca has made a lifestyle change. She has left the other restaurant she was at, and now she works for Joel, who was full on getting a spot on a national show. Like, she told the owners of Joel, like, look, listen, I'm gonna be your GM, but I'm filming this show called 90 Day Fiancé, and your business is gonna get a plug. Just let me film there. And they were like, okay. And I want Joel's hot chicken right now. Hot chicken is delicious. So if y'all are in Georgia, please go and get a Joel's hot chicken for me and tell me what it tastes like. She's the general manager there, and she does all of it. I mean, she's the most hands-on general manager I've ever seen in any restaurant job, because all the general managers I worked with, they were in like nice clothing, not the uniform, and they were in the office, you know, making sure payroll went through. She had a conversation with Zeead and his rude ass sister, and it frustrates me that Rebecca doesn't stand up for herself. People are saying crazy things or being weird to her. She just kind of takes it, and I hate that, because it makes me feel like she is going to be a doormat. She's gonna be one of those people who don't stand up for herself and don't say what she feels and then like cries in the background. And it's like, no, girl, in the moment, stand in your truth. Say how you feel. We see Weem or Weema or whatever her name is. I can't even bother to get her name right because she's rude as f. I'm over her, and that's Zeead's sister. I don't know why Zeead put her even on the FaceTime. So Zeead and her are talking, or Rebecca are talking, and they're talking about his interview coming up, and she tries to coach him and says, like, don't be acting mean, don't be seemingly angry, like, we don't want them to think that you're just being with me for the green card, like that we really love each other. Girl, they are 22 years apart in age, and he acts a whole fool. And all of a sudden they're showing all these like young pictures of him where he's like skinny and doesn't have facial hair, and I'm like, who is this? Excuse me. You're not gonna show his pictures of when he was 22 years old. Okay, show Zeead with his glossed lips and his long hair and his like, I love you so much. I want to kiss you. I want to kiss your lips. So we have a new character, which is Micah, who is her daughter's redneck ass, racist ass boyfriend. I'm deciding he's racist. His whole like, if he starts talking about Allah over Christianity, and I was just over him. For some reason, Rebecca is a 49-year-old woman with a lease that's about to run out. And because she's been so busy with her new job and getting Zeead, she hasn't looked for a new apartment. So they're gonna have to live with her daughter. Either Rebecca's whack or it's all made up for the cameras, right? It's like a storyline they just made up, because I can't imagine a grown-ass woman just like having to live with her best friend slash youngest daughter and this blue-collar Southern guy, as she calls him. She's like, I don't like his caveman mentality. And I'm like, Zeead's the same kind of caveman. He's just like a Muslim caveman. He's like, no, I don't want Micah being there. I don't want you living in a house with another man. Come on, this storyline is whack. I mean, and it just makes Micah look like a crazy person. All right, you guys, so that's the end of this episode. Please let me know what you thought. Are we excited about this new season? Have you subscribed to my channel? Have you thumbs up this video? Have you clicked the notification bell? Like, what are you doing with your life? Let me know down below if you've done all those things. Okay, guys, this is where the video ends. I want to thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to be you, be true, and find your place. Bye. I wonder if they're going to play, like, Louisiana bounce music whenever Javi and Yaza come on. It's like banana, hey, 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 banana, hey, banana. Are they gonna do like